they actually boosted me and helped me gain more weight and just like, having a bit more calories in the week. Let's say if I would eat healthy, right? Let's say Monday to Friday, and then maybe on a Saturday or Friday evening, then I would have my cheat meal, and then boom, right? And then I go to the gym, I train, and then I'll put on some weight, and then gradually I got to like 200 pounds, like for my frame, like that was too much. Like I was just like, nah, okay, I was struggling. I realized like, okay, I'm struggling. But that process, that journey, it made me realize, what someone else might be going through that's actually gained that weight. And the urge and this taste, because there's a point where you just get your taste buds used to certain tastes where it's like habitual, where you're like, I just want to taste that, the sugar. I just want to taste that, the fat, the salty fries, the Cajun fries from Five Guys. I just want to taste that in my mouth. And so you really get to the point where you have adopted a certain palate, and that palate just drives you to just crave more. And even when you feel certain ways, you're like, oh, that thing will make me feel good. I understand. So it's like there's a point where you're climbing, you're climbing, and then you get there. If you train yourself, because people who are overweight, I mean, some people might have, medical conditions, but some people have just trained themselves to become overweight and fat without knowing it. Without knowing it, you actually legit training yourself. Because for me, it was very hard because I was like, how does someone do this? Right. And they feel like they can't just lose weight, they can't just go to the gym. It only dawned on me when I realized that, oh, wow, crazy. So you actually have to train yourself. There's actually work to train yourself. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who's this, but to get fat actually takes work for you to get fat. It takes work. It requires effort. And I would argue it's probably just as much effort as losing that weight. Because you find people who say, oh, I'm skinny, I can't put on weight. Because both people, at the end of the day, they have to train themselves. They have to train their mind to say, okay, one person has to say, okay, I gotta eat more. Another person has to say, nah, I gotta stop eating this much food or have to make better choices to lose weight. So it's consistent. It comes back to the habits that you form. So if you eat emotionally and you've trained yourself to reward your emotions with food, that's not something that a drug can just fix all of a sudden, because it's a habit. It's not just, oh, my appetite is low, right? Because you're suppressing that emotion. You have to reward that emotion somehow. So if you just think that, okay, I just don't do anything, I just let go and my appetite is suppressed. The issue is that when you suppress that hunger using synthetic, you will realize that there's going to be a point where that hunger comes back. That emotion, you can't just bury it with an injection. You can't, because it's going to come back. If you're an emotional eater, that emotion is not just going to go away. You can try and trick your hormones and trick your brain, but your body knows. Your body knows. So you have to take this seriously. Like I took this seriously when I found this out, right? So, and I realized, because some of these drugs, right, as I've sort of seen the backside is that, and I've coached people, I see that the drugs themselves, they don't come with like the counseling, the coaching to really understand mentally, to say, okay, if I'm gonna feel, because you're tricking your brain with the injection, right? So you have to really break it down and understand that, okay, if I'm gonna try and take this injection, like my brain also has to align with what this injection is gonna tell or try trick my body into believing. And your emotions need to be fixed, like the root. of those emotions that were driving you to eat. So these are things that you have to really understand before you start even thinking of taking a semaglutide or taking any sort of like GLP-1 or peptide, because the issue still remains the same. You cannot medicate what you refuse to rebuild. So you have to really think about this and realize that this is more than just like uh medical. I mean, not necessarily medical. If you need medical attention, you need it. But it's not necessarily just a drug thing that you can fix with a drug. Just to say, because I think people have talked about how, the pill, just the magic pill where you can take and then you just lose weight. Because people are sort of like pushing these GLP-1s and peptides as if they're these magical drugs or magic pill that'll just help people lose weight all of a sudden.